Okay. Hi everyone. Welcome back. And this is Siron. And after a few startup demo sessions, we move on to our fireside chat sessions. In this sharing, we will talk about the new normal because after the COVID-19, there are many new challenges, new things needed to face. So, how the innovation and entrepreneurship will be related to the new normal or new challenges? Please let me introduce the panel speakers. Mr. Jeffrey, he's the co-director of Founder Institute Hong Kong. Ms. Aurelie Wen, CEO APAC of Agorize, and the moderator, Mr. Jeff Hui, the owner of Nocodestacks. And maybe I will pass my time to Jeff.
Great. Thank you, Siren. So welcome, Jeffrey. Welcome, Aurelie. Thank you for joining us on this great session on Fireside Chat. So we have a 15-minute quick session here. But why don't you guys introduce to the audience real quickly, what do you guys do? What do you guys do at Founder Institute and Agorize?
Ladies first.
Thanks, Jeff. Hi, everybody. My name is Aurelie Wen, and I'm the CEO for APAC at a company called Agorize. I'm a huge fan of open innovation, of entrepreneurship, of diversity and inclusion. And basically what we do at Agorize is we connect amazing entrepreneurs and innovators out there with big corporations, companies, governments everywhere in the world as well through an online platform. So we're kind of like that bridge between these two worlds, like entrepreneurs who have great ideas but lack, the network, with big companies who can actually help them leverage that creativity.
Great.
Okay. My name is Jeffrey Brewer. I co-run the Founder Institute program here in Hong Kong together with Leo, where we help aspiring entrepreneurs to validate their business idea, and we help entrepreneurs with their growth and funding strategy. We've been doing this now for over 5 years, and have been seeing amazing entrepreneurs preparing themselves for the new normal already. We're currently in a cohort where quite significant amount of ideas have a resemblance for the new normal.
Great. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Aurelie. So the topic of this session is the innovation and entrepreneurship to prepare for the new normal. And from what I understand, from what you guys do in Founder Institute and Agorize, is basically helping companies and entrepreneurs to bring in new stuff, to bring in the new life into what they do. And so, first question I'll throw to you guys is how do you guys think where this innovation comes from? Like how does it help to transform what is existing already, or how to create something new for entrepreneurs?
That's a great question. Shall I go first? I think innovation comes from usually two forces that can be a little bit paradoxical. The first is frustration, and the other is, I guess, hope or love. Frustration first, because you're not happy with the world as it is today. You want to change. There are things that are irritating you, and you really want to make a difference and fix that. So I think that is the first main driver of innovation. The second, hope and love. This is on a more positive note, like that unshakable belief that we can advance humanity and humankind in different areas. And I think these are two very, very powerful levers for innovation.
I fully concur. It's mostly when you talk about innovation, it's about frustration. Why is something this way, and why is this creating so much friction? Especially when it comes to something that a person experience during his daily life. Great innovations quite often either comes from indeed that friction, or it comes from enhancements in in the academic world, where at that point they discover something that makes something way easier or way cheaper or way, or maybe at that point even feasible to do.
Right, great. So I think these are the great forces. Like, okay, this is why we should start something. We should create something new. But oftentimes, for a lot of founders or companies that want to drive change, like they have this question of how did they start it? Like, what's the initial first step that they should take? Is that something on the structural change? Is that something on the mindset change? What would you guys think is the first step for people or for companies to first drive, the change that they want to make?
I think focusing on the problems is way more interesting than focusing on the solutions. I mean, I've listened to some of the pitches before, and it was great to always start with the pain point, right? What you want to, the roadblock that you're facing. This is a great way to start. I mean, most entrepreneurs, including myself, are like, hey, we need that big idea. We keep chasing the whole life of that big idea, but you never get started in the end because no one ever gets it right on the first time. While actually speaking and talking to people, getting out there, if you have that in you, like that, the willingness to start a business, starting a venture, then actually you can really honestly be an entrepreneur about all kinds of things. Introspection is quite important as well. What are your values? What is super important to you as a person? Because this is everything all the values you're going to pour into your company after that. And then, problems, hearing people complain is actually a very good source. And also getting back to what really matters for you and what gives you pleasure. I mean, if you consider that all this that we're going through right now is a game, right? I don't see work as work. I really see work and life as a game. It's about having fun at the end of the day. And what really makes you sparkle that joy and that fun feeling of fun within you is going to be super important, because I think you should really create your own business around what makes you tick.
Great point, Jeffrey.
Yeah, quite often what I like to see when I speak to a lot of founders, quite often what I like to see is founders that at that point say like, hey, there was nobody else solving this issue. Like, I went around the world and nobody was solving this issue. So yeah, I became an accidental entrepreneur because nobody else was doing it and somebody has to do it. And those are, in my point of view, quite often very good entrepreneurs. Stark contrast is against that is the people who want to be entrepreneurs. So the people who want to be an entrepreneur just to be an entrepreneur and just try to find a problem just to become an entrepreneur. So quite often, people who are in a day job or are in school or who are somewhere and say like, hey, like I see here an opportunity and nobody is solving this, or maybe only one or two people in the whole world are solving this. Why aren't more people doing this? And then realizing that that's something that would change either how things are being done, or that changes things in the environment, or that changes how people think, then at that point, if you come across something like that, do that and become that accidental entrepreneur that is going to solve this, because you are at that point very invested in that, in solving that problem.
Great point. I think, for people, as you mentioned, the accidental type of entrepreneur is definitely out there, and those are the special type of people. They are aware of what is surrounding them, and they're able to see, hey, this is a problem that nobody realized, and they go and invest their time into doing so. But for normal people, for those that haven't been experienced much in the entrepreneur or starting up world, what should they do? If they're thinking, hey, maybe someday I could do something. It might not be a big problem at first, but they can start spotting something. But what is something that they should do or equip themselves to prepare themselves to become the first type of entrepreneur, serial or whatever accidental entrepreneur, what should they do? What should they start to do to prepare themselves to get ready for this opportunity?
They should build a network around them. Entrepreneurship you should never do alone. You should have a support group, as I sometimes call it. That means that in that support group should be people who've done it before already, that are there to help that person out if they are first-time founders. Those are people, like-minded people, that are helping out. But also at that point, go around in your family or in your friend group and say like, hey, I am planning to go do this. Like, would you support me in that or not? Because quite often, not getting support from your direct family or from your partner or from your friends could deter somebody to do that. And if you create a support group around you, then at that point that's great, because entrepreneurship is something with great heights, but also with very, very, very lows. And especially on those low points, you need somebody who's there not only to see like, oh, you're so sweet and you should do this, but really people saying like, hey, like, you can do this. I've seen you better. Just take half a day, go walk on the beach, and when you come back, we are going to sit down and we're going to solve this problem for you together. So that support group around you, that I quite often call it also a circle of influence. That's very important when you want to start something.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback on that, definitely having a tribe of a support group, mentors. I never stop looking for mentors. I have a list of 120 people who I consider having, they mentored me at some point in my life, and also collect slaps in the face. I think it's very important. Supporters is great. Having haters as well around you can be quite interesting. But of course, don't stay too much with them. Don't hang out too much with them. Obviously, you need some slaps in the face, like very brutal, honest feedback on your idea, because either it's going to break your dream or it's actually going to make you even more like wanting to prove them wrong that actually you can make it. And I'm speaking for myself. I fall into the category of the accidental entrepreneur. Was not supposed to be one, honestly. Never really thought I had that in me. But yeah, because there was this huge gap that I identified when I was in Canada. I had no choice but to make a business, and really take Agorize on that market. But then, there were so many roadblocks, and even within yourself, you're your own worst enemy when you start a company. As Jeffrey said, there's going to be a high highs and low lows. So it's a roller coaster. You have to be ready for that. It's fine. But also you're going to encounter people who will be supporting you, others who will be actually telling you that this is completely stupid. The idea is really to always fall back to what your gut feelings, because you may call it intuition or any kind of other words. Honestly, I do believe that since we only use 10% of our brain power, there's 90% of things that our brain is actually collecting: information, data, signals, like super, super small signals that you don't really process. And whenever your intuition tells you, okay, don't listen to that person, or actually listen to them, or just do it your own way, you really have to learn how to listen to that intuition. Because you will be stirred into one direction and in another, especially when you start having new clients. And okay, everybody thinks that the hardest part of being an entrepreneur is to get started. It's actually when you start having traction and you have your first clients, everybody will want to take your concept and tweak it in many different ways. You have to stay strong in that tornado. And for that, always come back to the Ikigai concept. What am I good at? What do I love to do? What do I do that people are ready to pay me for and to pay for? And what does the world need? And whenever you see like there's something that's taking you somewhere outside of the intersection of these four circles, just ask yourself, is this really what I want? And I think that could help.
This is a great point. I think especially the network part, surrounding yourself with mentors. And then personally, I would also like to add, having thick skins. I think that's the mental part of, collecting the slaps on your face, right? You have to be able to endure the lows and people criticizing your ideas and stuff. And then, previously before our session, I saw you guys also listening to some of the pitches, that the teams have made. And what would be some of the advice to the young team, the new people, how they have done some work on their founders, done some work on their startups, but, what would be advice for them to move forward, from what they're already building right now, in general?
I think being comfortable with saying I don't know, not waiting to have the perfect product or service or promise or value proposition before you get started. Be super open to keep sharing your ideas with everyone. As Jeffrey said, I mean, talk to people, confront your concept and your company idea with many people. I don't know why some people really are very protective with their ideas, but as it's all about execution in the end of the day. And also, don't listen too much to the haters, because haters gonna hate. I mean, the company Agorize has been. We're celebrating our 4th year in Asia, but honestly, it's been 10 years now that we founded the concept. But at first, I mean, so many people told us your project, your company's concept is so bad that if you ever make it, like if you make it past your first year, the death valley of startups, I'm going to shave my head because this is never going to work. Your concept is so shitty. Sorry. And so, yeah, don't listen to them. Now it's been 10 years. We're expanding. We have 6 offices around the world, and it's working really, really well. So, yeah, stay strong.
Yeah, general advice is always focus on what you're doing. Don't get too much distracted on shiny things. Try to stay away from vanity metrics. With vanity metrics, I mean the amount of followers you have on Twitter or the amount of likes that you get on a post. And yeah, one of my mantras that I always end with is go out and build something meaningful, and which is true. Like it doesn't always have to be a next, I don't know, a social media platform or a next Zoom, or there are so many startups out there that are building something that like 99.9% of the people never heard of, and it is a viable and profitable and amazing business. So it doesn't always have to be the startup that you're going to pitch events with, and don't always have to be things that you're want to get your exposure with. Like there's a talk that I quite often give, and where I said at that point, like, what's the things that Google, Apple, and Instagram and WhatsApp have in common is that they never went to a pitch event. Like they just went down, listened to their customers, and built a business. And at that point, what I see quite often is that the startup entertainment, as they call that, is kind of distracting, and you should stay away from that. But no, it's especially when it comes to early stage entrepreneurs. Just focus on your business, build something, listen to your customer segments. That's the person that you should be talking to, and nobody else. And you should live and breathe them. You should know of your customer segment, what they're doing, when they stand, what time do they get up, what time do they go to bed, what kind of toothpaste that they're using, what kind of mobile phone that they have. You have to know them inside out if you want to build something for them.
Great. Those are great insights. Sorry, the audience, that we don't have much time left, so I'll just pick the first question out and then have Jeffrey and Aurelie to answer like a 1-sentence, real quick answer. So we have a question on how to assess obstacles that we face on providing services or products, in what ways to solve them. So what's your general great quick insight on this?
You can launch a very, very cheap test on your concept with Google Ads and a landing page. You can test your project like that. Promote a landing page, super quick to make, and put some money on Google Ads to show it to as many people as you can to really quickly test the drawbacks and how that performs of your offer. At large scale.
I would say at that point, just go out and talk to your customer segment, interview them, not with saying like, hey, this is a solution that we have, would you use it? But more in like, hey, is this a problem for you? Is this something that is challenging? How are you currently solving it? And how can I help solving that? Or like, what would it take to solve this when you have a magic wand or when money is not an object? So you will learn so much from that, and you can do that without any line of coding, without any website or whatever. Like, just talk to them and try to validate that hypothesis that you think that there is an issue.
Great, awesome. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Aurelie. Pass the stage back to you, Siren.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you all for you sharing, and it's really great to have you guys' advice, and hope the entrepreneurs can, in this challenging period, they can keep on to build a solution and keep on to talk with their customers. And thank you all of you, and we will move on to the last session in a few minutes. And let's see again in next sessions.